One of the methods of scouting is the uniform. The uniform identifies us as scouts when we are out in public. It shows people that we belong to this great organization and helps to reinforce a positive image of scouting in our communities. Wearing the uniform is an action that shows our pride and commitment to the aims and purposes of scouting. The uniform gives us identity in the World Brotherhood of Scouting and serves as practical and appropriate attire for scouting activities. While the uniform performs all these group identity functions, it also becomes the place where individual scouts and scouters can express their accomplishments through the wearing of awards, advancements, and activities they have participated in. Join us this week as we take a look at the history of women's scouting uniforms in this edition of Artifact of the Week. Women have always supported scouting, but they never served in official leadership capacities until the BSA launched the Cubbing program in 1930 to solve the younger boy problem. With the Cubbing program came a new leader, the Den Mother, who in the early days assisted the Den Chief, an older Boy Scout, in leading the den. With this new role for women came the need for a uniform, and the Den Mother uniform was created. This dress and hat from the 1930s are on display here at the National Scouting Museum. While ladies served as Den Mothers and met weekly with the Cub Scouts, men served as Den Dads on Cub Scout committees. As the Cub Scout program grew, the National Executive Board recognized that Cub Scout needs could be better served if women were directly involved in committees, including the National Cub Scout Committee. In 1969, Laverne Parmley, a prominent Cub Scout leader from Utah, and Elizabeth Renneker, the BSA National President's wife, were both invited to serve on that committee, making them the first female members in a national capacity. The uniforms for female Cub Scout leaders also changed and became what many identify as the traditional Cub Scout adult female uniform, the yellow blouse with the blue tie or the blue blouse with the yellow tie. This 1960s uniform is an example of these changes. This is a picture of Mrs. Parmley during her first trip to the Philmont Training Center in 1963. As you can see, she wore a dress, nylons, and heels. Somehow she traipsed around the dusty roads and trails of Philmont with a smile on her face. Later, Mrs. Parmley became the first female to receive the Silver Buffalo Award. Women's roles in scouting continued to expand, and females were eventually allowed to register as troop and pack commissioners in 1973 and as Cub Masters in 1976. Again, the uniform for female scouters also changed as Oscar de la Renta spent 2 years redesigning all the BSA uniforms. This scout dress from 1970 is 100% polyester, but was very wearable for women of the time. The new uniform also sported a silk scarf and hat. For Den Mothers, there was a blue and yellow silk scarf to wear with their yellow or blue blouse or dress. While it took a while, by 1988 women could hold every position in scouting, including Webelo's leader and scoutmaster. The uniform also changed over time to include not only unisex designs, but also women's cuts of the traditional BSA uniform. In 2019, as girls were allowed to join troops in the renamed Scouts BSA program, additional uniform options were introduced for female leaders. Some of these included options for pants, shorts, skirts, and even culottes. For those of you that may be curious, it is totally acceptable to wear a vintage uniform as long as you wear all of the appropriate parts and do not combine uniform parts from different eras. When in doubt, check out the official source for uniforms, awards, and insignia, which can be found at scouting.org. That's all that we have time for this week. Join us next time as we look at more of the history of the BSA through the collection of the National Scouting Museum and the Artifact of the Week.